Hello and welcome back in the early Sunday morning edition of Mountain's Garage. If you watched my motorcycle video, which wasn't super popular, I'm not surprised. Maybe someday, but people don't come to my channel probably looking for motorcycle content, but sometimes I go off the reservation a little bit, but I've always loved motorcycles. I covered that in the other video. Just the comfort of knowing I had one, I guess, has always been a lifelong thing, even though there wasn't many years I didn't ride until recently, and there was no conscious decision. I mean, I have every right, as all the motoring public does, to be afraid of people on their cell phones. Even trailering down to pick up the motorcycle that I traded for, twice. It's only 4 miles each direction. A car comes into my lane and the driver's doing this. This is their phone. They're doing this and driving. Next thing you know, they realize they're in your lane, or you're blowing the horn at them. Should you blow the horn at them, they'll just, give you the one finger salute. Like, not only, in Maine, it's against the law to do that. It's dangerous, obviously, that's why they outlawed, in this state anyway, distracted driving. And then the worst part is, nobody will take responsibility for their actions. If you come into my lane and I blow the horn, at least wave. Whatever. So, yes, it happened. I don't know if my buddy actually watches my channel. My buddy Chris, the same enabler that, it's where the Dot came from and the Model A and half the stuff around here. He does a really good job of hoarding stuff, probably better than I do. Or at least very much on par, but he doesn't try to work out of his garage. He just stuffs it full of stuff. So in conversation, guess what? He has a 2004 Road King. In my video, if he watched it, he knows that I loved my 2004 Road Glide. So this bike, I'll go over the highlights. It's, it needs work for sure, but I traded a bunch of junk and very, very little money. And this will, scratch the itch that I apparently had once again, or a continuing lifelong of, having a motorcycle. It's been a dry spell I've been technically without for a couple of years now. And I don't go anywhere typically during the week. I go to the grocery store. Occasionally I'm taking my son somewhere, but, when I had a bike before, my biggest justification in my brain for having it was I took it back and forth to work. So I work behind my house right now, so I guess I could ride it up to the other garage. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the video. It has some interesting points to me because I lived them. To you, we'll see if I could get it across. I only had a couple scary moments, but anyway, check it out. I'll catch you at the end. Early Sunday morning. I've been working a couple hours and it's still only 6:30 a.m. But yesterday I went and hauled the motorcycle home. And I built this trail in 2007. Needs some cosmetic work now, but just been sitting out in the sun. But when I did, I drilled 4 holes and put this motorcycle wheel stop in that I bought at my buddy's yard sale for $2. And I keep it with the nuts and washers underneath. It only takes me a second to pop it on. And loading the motorcycle works pretty good because I got tie downs everywhere. So I use motorcycle straps around the handlebars and regular axle straps around the rear somewhere. And I tie it back to there yesterday. But over the winter, I developed, over time, this rotten board right here in the middle. She's sick. The rest are fine. I need to pressure wash it again and put some water seal on it. So I knew I had a soft board that I would fall through. So, like a genius, I brought this piece of plywood with me. Yesterday morning, I threw it up on the deck. I had it strapped across the side so it wouldn't blow off driving down to my buddy's house 4 miles away. And I got to his house. I put the ramps together as close as I could, in case you gotta put your foot down. Again, the plywood was up over the bad board. I fired up the bike, rode down his driveway. I hadn't ridden a bike in a few years, but It's like riding a bike, and believe it or not, you don't have to rev it up 3 times every time you let the clutch out. You just go putt, putt, putt. So I turned at the end of his driveway and parked in the road out in front of his house. And I ride up the ramp, no problem. I hit that piece of plywood, and we were skiing. That piece of plywood followed me all the way. I still had the front free. I was able to steer into the stirrup here. And my buddy watching it said, did you do that on purpose? I'm like, no, it just worked out. So to unload the bike, I put the kickstand down and I release the straps on the right side. And it leans over in the kickstand, then I release the straps on the left side because I'm all by myself. And I walk the bike back, missing the rotten board because I was smart enough to strap the piece of plywood to the ramps just like this. Because when you start down the ramp, my ramps are wide and generous, but the bike takes up the whole ramp. You can't put your foot down to catch yourself, to let yourself down, because you're backing the bike down, just holding the front brake. So the plywood at least gives me a place to put my foot. And it actually works pretty well. But when you actually haven't loaded one in a while and you just headed up the ramp and there's a gap in between, it's fun. So while I got the trailer out, and here it is August, end of August already, I'm going to change the rotten board, pressure wash and stain the deck. I should change out the tires. These tires were a gift. Well used in 2007. I keep saying I'm going to change them, but they still look okay. Need to paint my wheels. Those are Dodge wheels. Only one person ever has spotted them. A Dodge guy. Yep, that's my story on the trailer. Now let's talk about the bike itself. And of course, once I started talking, the wind picked up. So I apologize. I mentioned in my only other motorcycle video that my 2004 Road Glide was my favorite bike. It ran the best. I liked everything about it, pretty much. This is an 04 Road King. So from a distance, it looks pretty good. And I am into this bike so cheap I couldn't pass it up. I did some trading and a very minimal cash outlay. I'm embarrassed to even tell you what I paid. So from 15 feet back, it looks pretty good. But it is not without sin. We'll start with the obvious stuff. I mean, the paint job doesn't look bad. Kind of got an old school look. There's one whammo in the fuel tank right there. I'm not sure what event took place that dented the top of the tank. Either somebody got mad and punched it or something fell on it. It's showing 32,500 miles. That's nothing for a touring bike. I see them for sale, 70 to 100,000 miles. No problem. So if the mileage is correct, that's not bad. Continue the tour. It came with extra parts, of course. This is a brand new, I think it's a lowering seat. It must move you forward and down. I don't know if it moves you forward, it definitely moves you down. Combined with these ridiculous ape hangers that need to go. I mean, the pullback, 16 inches up, they're awful. I'm going to take it around the block here in a few minutes, but other than that, if I never ride it again with these, it'll be too soon. I mean, they're in nice shape, and they're the chubby ones. They get fat, but somebody else will love them, probably at a swap meet. Now, somewhere on property here, I have my factory Road Glide bars. I have a set of Heritage Softail 10-inch apes, which I like. The Heritage bars fit everything, and they're really comfortable. I hope I can find those. I had bought a brand new pair of 10-inch ape hangers, and I have a Road Glide windshield. I have a passenger and rider backrest. I just know it's all, I don't need the Road Glide windshield, but it's all in a pile somewhere, and I have to find it. So I came home early, started hunting, and next thing you know, I'm sorting out Turbo 400 shift linkage. So that's the way that works. So from a distance, once again, it looks okay. Now, let's go over the hard facts. I don't know if the mileage is accurate. It has a rebuilt title. That would turn a lot of people off. For me, it's a pile of parts that has a title. So that's a win for me. Some people would say, oh, I can't have a bike with a rebuilt title. I don't know the history of it. It is claimed, but can't be proven unless you take it apart, that the 88-inch motor is now a 96 or a 104 or whatever they changed it to. Supposedly has a big bore kit in it and camshafts and stuff. Who knows? I know it runs. It's fuel injected. It runs great. The interesting part, which kind of leads to believe that somebody spent some money on it, is back in the day. Now, I mentioned my 04 Road Glide was perfect. The gearing 1 to 5 should never have been changed, which Harley did when they went to their 6-speed. Their 6-speed is direct drive, not overdrive. And I wished out loud that they just had the same spread 1 to 5 and threw in an overdrive. Well, Screaming Eagle, the Harley Davidson aftermarket company, did just that. And this bike has it. It has the Screaming Eagle gear set. I think it's a .81 or .86 overdrive. I'll have to look it up again. And not only that, somebody went the extra dollar, which I would not have, and went with a hydraulic clutch. It actually feels pretty good. I am not a fan of hydraulic clutches in any form. However, this one is in place. It's all genuine Harley. And it's, it's there. You can change when you buy the 6-speed. You got to choose mechanical cover or hydraulic cover. The mechanical's $200 plus the cable. The hydraulic's $300, so plus the master. So in this case, they chose hydraulic. Now, all over this bike, they made the biggest mistake ever. It's probably been left outside, but these might have been factory bolts, but they're rusty. But all over the bike is the chrome-headed Allens, like I talked about, that as soon as you tighten them up and then get the bike wet, they rust. So that's just a lot of detail. Needs to be taken care of. And there's sins all over the bike. I mean, some of the switches are missing. Easy fix, but you can't read any of them, but I got them memorized. Anyway, it needs a new key setup, but it came with a new switch. It needs the threaded insert for the seat, but it came with a brand new one. It came with lowering shocks, even though it already has progressive shocks on it, which are probably lowering shocks, because I sit flat-footed on it already. So my Road Glide, I lowered the back an inch, never touched the front. The added rake made that bike drive straight like you wouldn't believe. You can just take your hands up the handlebars, go down the highway for hours and never touch them. You can sit at an intersection, hardly ever have to put your feet down. It balances that good. So I'll get used to that and decide what I want to do. Again, it did come with a lowering kit for the front and rear. It came with the offset brackets for the shocks and a new set of shorter shocks. So the possibilities are endless there. There's a pretty cool exhaust system. It's not too loud. Actually has a muffler that you can tune, they tell me. I haven't looked at it, but they claim the baffle is adjustable. I'll have to check that out. The rear tire is completely smoked, but it came with 2 tires. Which is typical on a Harley right here, these brackets break. They make a repair kit you can buy for $11. This person chose to weld, if you can call it that, the repair. And this one they got into the fender bracket, so that'll have to be ground off, but no big deal. It's just all minor stuff, but I am very happy, even though I haven't ridden it much. And I think it's gonna probably have to stay here forever. You can quote me on that. Even if I just have it in storage. I've had a motorcycle pretty much my entire life, starting with the mini bike, you know, when I was, what, 3rd or 4th grade anyway. Pedal bikes before that. I've been without a bike for a couple years, and it didn't feel good. So here it is. The one I like about this one is it's not perfect. It's more ratty than not, and that suits me just fine at this stage of my life. Here's the current pile of spare parts. See, lowering shocks, lowering kit for the front, a couple of no-name tires, brand new, and the stock couch seat. So I just took it around the block. Absolutely the worst bike I've ever ridden. Mostly because of the tires, I believe. I don't know if the cord's gone in the front, but it's front end shaking. The handlebars are crooked. So the rear's bald anyway, but rides like it's flat. Just awful. So it shouldn't take much to improve this situation. Another project. A relatively short one. Mostly just a good cleaning and some, clean up whatever cosmetics you can't stand. It actually came registered too. I didn't put the plate on, but that's pretty cool. The plates have never been put on it. Nobody's ridden it in a while. I'll have to pry and get the backstory a little more. Now I'm going to disconnect the battery because I don't trust any wiring. Pretty much any vehicle that comes in the garage, I disconnect the battery. Wow, what a terrible POS. It feels like the tire is a square and the whole bike just goes like this. Any low speed, I didn't dare to go too fast. I don't know what that was. I hope I got that on camera. I thought we were having an earthquake. Turns out it was two, I assume, military planes flying really low and really fast. Holy smokes. Woo! Okay, that gets the old adrenaline going. Kind of like the bike ride. Yeah, it's awful, and I'll fix it. I say it came with tires, even though the, whatever cheap brand they are, they'll be fine. For a while anyway. Need lots of cosmetic stuff. I don't know how much I'm going to do because I'm okay with it being ratty. All the other bikes I had, I would fuss over every detail and every water spot when you washed it and everything else, and that gets old too. I'm at the point in my life that, I always wanted something super nice, and like my Nova, I have it. I haven't even finished it yet because I'm not that enthused about having to keep it that way. I love the old Dodge because the paint's pink now and the clear coat's peeling, and I haven't washed it since I owned it. So, but that's my issue, not yours. So, one more interesting to me note: it's very rare for a big twin Harley to have the natural finish engine, the silver one. In the 90s, they went to the black and chrome, and that's the majority of the bikes unless they're special. Now, I haven't had any real special bikes, but all 7 of my previous Harleys or versions thereof all had a natural aluminum finish engine, which I love. I don't like polished stuff. I actually just like the milled finish of aluminum or raw finish. But this one has a black and chrome. So finally, on Harley number 8, which I never set out to own that many Harleys. It just happened. But this is it. I've looked at the price of new ones. That's never going to happen. I had 2 new bikes and they were too expensive at the time. They've only gotten worse. And I'm still shocked at how many deals there are because less and less people are riding. More people are very concerned about the motoring public and their safety. So I believe that's why you see so many bikes for sale. I used to have all my friends rode. We got together and rode all the time. That's pretty much dissipated. So, people still ride in groups, but it's just not like it was. So maybe it'll come back. Doesn't matter. It makes me happy owning it, even if I seldom do anything with it, which I probably will anyway, because once you've got it to the point where it runs, you might as well ride it. So, hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to my rambling. It's Sunday, and I'm going to go enjoy the rest of the day. Take care.